Studios, an expert on new media. He's a photographer and a Drupal developer, and just gave a speech, which I thought sounds really interesting, on how established businesses can use the new media. It's risky, isn't it? It's a little scary for them.
Yeah, I brought in some examples of people doing it right and some folks doing it wrong.
Well, show us somebody who's doing it right.
Sure, a couple of the examples that popped to mind. One is Battlestar Galactica. This is one of the most popular shows on TV. They were the first group to go ahead and release clips and audio files and photos on their own website, encourage people to take them and remix them and make their own trailers for Battlestar Galactica. Look
what they say, Video Maker Toolkit, so you can make fan videos, as opposed to some movie makers who say, you can't mess with our stuff.
Oh yeah, there's still lots of movie companies that will send you a cease and desist for using a logo or a screenshot or something from a movie.
Crazy. Prince tried to do that with his fan sites.
That's right.
Crazy. These people are your biggest fans.
Another one who's doing a really good job of it is the NHL. The NHL will let you use their logos, remix your own highlight clip, submit it to NHL.com, and maybe it'll make it on TV if you have a good enough highlight clip.
So that's smart. I mean, there's no reason not to let these people kind of take
advantage of your fans' passion instead of trying to shut it down and fight against it.
Are people blogging? Is that? I mean, it seems like that would be another way you could kind of.
Sure. Yeah, I have a couple more examples in the category of at least they're doing something. GM started a new Fastlane blog where they talk about their products and their cars.
It has to be more than just a marketing thing, though, right? It can't just be, buy our cars, aren't we great? It has to be honest.
Yeah, it's from the voice of their vice chairman, which is pretty uncommon. He gets on there, he blogs and responds to comments. There's a community forming. People are having discussion there, and there's a real talk about the stuff that Ford's doing, the Ford Focus and different things.
Users have a pretty good radar, though, when it's real or just somebody pretending to be real.
That's great. Actually, that moves us into the third category, the ones that I brought today, which is flogs or fake blogs. So,
Flogs,
Walmart,
good name.
Walmart recently had a Walmarting Across America blog where they a happy family in an RV supposedly went across America, stopping at all the Walmarts and taking videos of the happy employees and great products. And it turns out, that the plane tickets and the RV and their expenses and everything was all covered. These were Walmart employees.
And when this comes out, it's actually worse for you than if you hadn't done anything at all.
I mean, the internet and blogging is all about authenticity and having a real voice and connecting with people. When people are duped, it's definitely a backlash. So.
That's actually scary, because people, I think that's one of the reasons people don't participate at all. They feel like the backlash that they can get from the internet community is risky for them.
Yeah. Well, in some cases, the backlash will lead some unexpected results. So recently there was a Chevy Tahoe campaign where they encouraged their users to make a Chevy Tahoe commercial. Well, it ended up turning into a culture jamming project where all sorts of folks with interest in global warming and anti-SUVs hopped on and made anti-Chevy Tahoe commercials. But through all the news and the buzz and all the incoming links and Google traffic, Chevy Tahoe sales went through the roof that quarter.
So it didn't hurt them.
So it didn't hurt them, and they were brave. They went out there and they hosted some of the discussion about the backlash on their own site. I tell people not to shut down the comments unless it's something clearly illegal, like racism or slander, but the conversation's taking place out there. You might as well have it taking place in a place where you can participate.
That's the biggest challenge, I think, for these companies is they're not a big old line company is not used to their customers talking back to them, and sometimes they don't want to hear the bad, right?
Well, the thing that's important for these companies to remember, though, is the conversation doesn't go away by just you not participating.
It's happening
All
anyway.
it does is go around the corner to somewhere else where you have no control and no voice. And
you don't want somebody to start ChevyTahoeSucks.com. Far better to have them come to you and play on your site.
Invite them in, talk to them, tell them, give them a value proposition that's meaningful to them, address their concerns.
We're seeing, it's interesting, in the U.S. in the presidential election, we're seeing candidates who normally would be very reluctant to kind of engage in these kind of conversations realize they've got to. It's part of being available, being transparency is the word that's often used.
It's amazing when you look at this election compared to the last one. Every single candidate has a blog and a YouTube channel and all sorts of social media outlets. So.
And some do it better than others. And of course, if you do it really well, like somebody like Ron Paul, and you've actually built this who's built an amazingly large base of support among the internet community. It's really remarkable. John Dean did it. He didn't win Howard Dean. He didn't win the election, but at least he was able to, create some attention.
In fact, in his case, they think that maybe he was never doing as well as he actually thought he was.
He wasn't really viable.
He was hanging out in an echo chamber on the internet.
Oh, that's interesting. That's the other thing, is you can, and I think this is a problem sometimes with some companies and some media personalities who shall remain nameless. But you can create an echo chamber of people who are just saying good things about you, right?
The Mutual Admiration Society, get all your friends around to tell you how great you are.
I would never do that. So it's a good idea to actually seek out the negatives.
That's right. You can't be afraid of them. You should link to them. You should link to your competitors. You should drive your Google rank higher than everybody else out there, and not shy away from the conversation.
Yeah. very interesting stuff. I'm sorry I missed this speech, but I'm glad you could come in and talk a little bit about it on the show. I think nowadays you don't have a choice. You kind of have to. And books like the Clue Train Manifesto,
that's right.
Robert Scoble's The Naked Conversations, that's what these books are about. Is, you know, nowadays a market is a conversation with the guy selling something to the person's buying.
Clue Train's almost 10 years old now, but we're really starting to see its principles take off in you know, the GMs of the world, and Whole Foods has a blog, NHL, everyone's doing it. And it's good and important to get in there and start experimenting and engaging these audiences where they're at.
It's really neat. And you know, some companies won't make it, but the companies that do it right will, and I think that's exciting. Kris Krug is president of Rain City Studios. He knows about interactivity, helps people with their websites, with Drupal, all over the world, and is a great resource for us. We thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks,
Leo. Really appreciate it. A final word coming up right after this. Stay right here. You know, it's funny, when you first start blogging, even just as an individual, it's